Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Halloween Horror Month. Today we're looking at the 1990 original 1990 version of Flatliners. And watching this, I did find a lot of connectivity to the original. And doing my research, as I would, the remake was supposed to be in the same continuity as the original. Kiefer Sutherland does have a small role in that film, playing a different character, but it was supposed to be revealed in deleted scenes that he was the same character under a different name. I don't know why he would change his name, but anyway, it really didn't do anything. Like, would that have changed the story? Because he really isn't involved in the Horcrux of the film and the remake. And something else I noticed, a little bit of information. The original film is mostly, the group is made of mostly males. Whereas in the remake, it's mostly women, with there only being 2 men and 3 women. Here it's 4 men and 1 woman. But if you look at this cast, alright? Look at this cast we got. We got Kiefer Sutherland, Julia Roberts, Oliver Platt, William Baldwin, Kevin Bacon. That's star-studded. I mean, those of you might just point out Kiefer Sutherland, Julia Roberts, and Kevin Bacon, who are the 3 credited on the cover, by the way. And like I said, I like that cover, but the other one that I saw on the picture for eBay looked better, but that's fine. Oliver Platt is an underrated actor, I think. They're like Placid, Jimmy King, yeah, baby, in Ready to Rumble. But even more so underrated is William Baldwin. I feel like Alec Baldwin and Stephen Baldwin get all the attention. I don't even know who is the 4th Baldwin brother? I know there's a fourth Baldwin. Adam Baldwin? No, he's not related to him. There's another Baldwin that nobody knows, nobody talks about. But I feel like undeservedly no one talks about William Baldwin. He has done other things. He's been in other movies like Backdraft and the sequel to Backdraft, Backdraft 2. And that movie Minutes to Midnight where he has a cameo, and that movie sucks. And it's been sitting on my shelf. I bought it and watched it once and haven't watched it again. And it's a last resort for a review on this channel, let me tell you. If I get bored, maybe. I don't know. I thought about maybe doing it for like a New Year's and releasing it just 5 minutes till midnight as a joke. But I can't bring myself to watch that movie again. It's not good. But if you watch the remake, you know the premise of this. Some medical students are, they decide to do an experiment where they technically die and then are brought back to life and to experience what the afterlife is like. That's the premise of the movie. And I said this in one of my review for the remake, and I'll say it here. That is the dumbest thing you could ever do. Because doing this, Kiefer Sutherland is the one that comes up with this. Nelson. He's the one that comes up with this. And you have no idea if your friends, like they're all med students, so they know something, but you have no idea whether or not they can bring you back. And let me tell you something. This first time they do it with Kiefer Sutherland, if Kevin Bacon didn't run in right then and there, he'd be dead. We'd have no movie. I will say that this movie does not needlessly kill off our main character in the middle of the movie like they did with Elliot Page in that one, because that was stupid. She was the main character, and when she's gone, it just kind of meanders there. I will tell you, the director of this film is Joel Schumacher, and he does a great job with it. The atmosphere, the score in this. Who did the score? Is it James Newton Howard, I think? If I remember reading correctly. It is James Newton Howard, and the score is fantastic. And just the way that things are lit, the way they look, the scenes after they come back, where they have those scenes of, much like the remake, they see past trauma, which is a problem I have with both of these. If you die, why are you seeing past trauma you went through? I don't know. I feel like Joe's trauma is the one they just kind of gloss over. Joe, he keeps having these visions of someone because he videotapes all his sexual encounters, and he has a fiance, which I mistook for Kiefer Sutherland's fiance. I don't know why, but it's his fiance, and they're going to different schools. And she's like, I should have just moved there with you. I think that's his, but he's been videotaping all his sexual encounters, and it's after he has an encounter with her where she finds the tapes. They have an argument, and she leaves his ass. That it's gone. Everyone else has to go out of their way to figure out. Well, except for Rachel's. And yes, they named Julia Roberts' character Rachel, and I can't help but compare her to Friends. I mean, she was on Friends for a while. She was dating Matthew Perry at the time, but I don't know, something about the redness of her hair. She has the reddish, orange, brown hair, like Jennifer Aniston does. I don't know. Every time I said Rachel, I thought of Friends. It's just a thing. And there's also a guy named Joe. I don't know. Her trauma is that when she was a child, she witnessed her dad commit suicide. Now you could that trauma works. I guess most of the traumas are people that died, right? Because, well, not really. Rachel's trauma is that her dad died, or committed suicide, and she blamed herself for it. And after, talks with the ghost of her dad, that's done with. Then you have David, Kevin Bacon's character, David. His is that he picked on an African American girl, which he called ugly. And there's this scene when he first encounters the young version of her, like a spiritual young version of her, and she's narrowing down, and they just keep piling on the insults. I'm like, okay, it's too much. It's too much. Can we go to the next scene? Because it just goes on and on and on. It's like 2 minutes of just this. Maybe not 2 minutes, but it feels like it. But he finds the girl all grown up now and apologizes to her, and she says, "Thank you for apologizing." I'm assuming that means that she forgives him because his trauma stops there. And Rachel stops after she has an encounter with her father. Now, if you're wondering what Oliver Platt does in this movie, how did S. William put it? Yeah, he does one of two things in this film: Jack and shit, and Jack just left. Yeah, he does nothing. He's just there. At least in the remake, I think all of them took the... there was... I think Diego Luna's character didn't. But everyone else did. So maybe they're following that. But yeah, he's the only one that doesn't do it. And he just records everything. His little voice recorder thing. Honestly, sometimes it got annoying when he's talking about... People are trying to tell what happened. And he's like... And then I went... And it's like, come on! I know he's putting down his... his opinions on the situation, but... But yeah, but Kiefer, or Nelson's trauma is that we keep getting hints of this person named Billy, this kid named Billy that's following him around. You know what happened? And we finally found out when they visit Billy's grave that when he was a kid, Nelson picked on Billy, and Billy was in a tree. They were throwing rocks at him, and he fell out of the tree and died. Because they were kids, I guess they couldn't get in trouble, but I don't want to call it an accident, but it definitely wasn't intended to end that way. Someone who's been picked on, It's never that bad. But yeah, it was definitely not intended, but it happened. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. You don't want a kid to die. I hate seeing kids die in movies. You know, even in Halloween 2018 when that kid died, it's off-screen kill, but he's dead, basically. And I hate it, you know. One of my childhood traumas was My Girl. You know, Macaulay Culkin dies in that movie. And they wonder why I'm afraid of bees. You know? And I have glasses too. So yeah, it's traumatizing. So I have a hard time watching that scene, you know? And I don't watch that movie often, but when I do, it gets to that point. I'm like, oh God. I believe when I bought the double feature, I watched them both. I watched the first one the night I got it. And I remember specifically going into the other room during that scene. I didn't fast forward, I didn't skip to the next scene. I let it play out, but I went in the next room and I shut the door. Because I just couldn't, I don't know. It's one of those things where kids die in movies that I just don't, especially now as a father myself, it's hard to watch. I don't think I've watched My Girl since my son. Well, no, I have because I reviewed it for the channel way back when, which I have to look when I reviewed that. Because that could be a candidate for a revisited review, especially if I want to do the sequel. And that's why if you're wondering why I haven't reviewed My Girl 2, I probably gonna have to re-review the first one. Just so I get that in my head again. You know, sometimes you know. But yeah. And that's so David's not David. I'm thinking of the freaking Lost Boys. Nelson's idea of how to do this, because much like in the remake, because the character is dead, he has to apologize in the afterlife. So he decides to go under again to apologize to him, and it ends up with him getting the rocks thrown at him, and he dies. He dies for 9 minutes. Eventually, they're able to bring him back, but it takes a while. By the way, he goes to do this without anyone else supporting him. They're like, no, you don't do this. He calls Rachel, and she's like, no, don't do this. And he left, and he does it. He says, I'm going to do it. Whether I come back or not, I just want you to know that, all that, whatever. And then Rachel comes in last. She's like, he called me. It's been 9 minutes. Jesus Christ. But he wakes up. He comes back. And I do like the bookend here with the movie starts with Nelson saying it's a good day to die. And at the end he says it wasn't a good day to die. So there's that bookend thing. But this movie there's some good sequences in here with the dreams. A lot of flashing lights. So if you are prone to seizures, you have epilepsy, I don't know if you should watch this. It may bother you. I don't know. But I would kind of try to stay clear of it. But I do recommend it for me. I think this is better than the remake. Spiritual success or whatever. Apparently they were going to do the same thing with the Poltergeist remake where it's connected. But they were going to find the family from the first film's TV. But, that's actually an interesting idea for the premise. Like, of a Poltergeist movie, right? Be like, oh, well, what happened to that area after the events of the first film, right? I know they focused on them winning Carol Ann, but what happened to it? Did that bastard still build the stuff on there knowing what happened? Interesting way to go back and do a reboot, But this movie's good. I'm going to give it a very high middle of the road. I think it's decent. Out of the Kevin Bacon horror films I've seen, though, it's probably my least favorite. That I've seen. You might point out, oh, what about this one that came out last year? Ooh, this one. But I think it's probably my least favorite, with the best being Stir of Echoes, followed by Hollowant, and then this one. I've only seen these 3 Kim Bacon horror movies. But, yes, I know Kim Bacon's like not the star, but I still count it. And yeah, this will be included in my 31 on 31. Little hint at what the 31 on 31 will be, because I haven't announced it yet. I'll do a video. Actually, I might have already. I'm not sure when I'll put the video out. So I got to put it out at some point. Actually, since I deleted that, I don't have to put a separate video out. I had the preview video, and I deleted it, and I recorded. By this point, I would have recorded a new preview video. Then I'm going to try to remember. To talk about 31 on 31, because when I recorded my original video, I forgot until after it was already published. And I'll just do a separate video. I don't do that anymore. So I'll just re-record that. Anyway, what are your thoughts on Flatliners? Let me comment below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty. And I'll see you in the next one.